Hi, I'm DJ Chucky and we are in the mix. Today we are having a conversation with owner CEO of NEXTGEN Mortgage.
Thank you very much.
Mike Santos. Mike, how are you today?
Very good, Chucky. Thank you for having me.
Good. Yeah. We were already having a conversation before all of this, but I want to ask you, how do you get started, like in doing mortgages and house? Like, how's that?
So I got started back in 2000. It was a learning curve for me in the beginning because I was only 20 years old. So I started doing this when I was 20. It was on a part-time level, right? And I was working construction, and I got to give credit to my mother. My mom was the one that caught me very unhappy, and she turned to me one day. It was in the morning. I was getting ready to go work construction. She says, "Mike, you look so unhappy. You can't do this for the rest of your life. You're only 20 years old." So at that point, she says, "Listen, you have a family member that's in the real estate business." So I went to go see him, and I got to tell you, having a mentor from the beginning, Chucky, was one of the most important things that happened to me that allowed me to stay in the business because I was trained really well in the beginning. And for a year straight, I love saying this story, for a year straight, I worked both jobs. Every morning I would get up, I go to do my construction thing. At 3, 4 o'clock, I'd come home, change, and go see my mentor, my cousin Tony, right? And for a year straight, I would go there, he would train me, and he told me, for a year straight, Mike, you're not making any money. What I'm gonna teach you, the education, is the pay. And I was okay with it, right?
Yeah.
And for a year straight, I did that with him. I would go to his house once a month, he would train me, I'd go with him to appointments. Back then, technology wasn't that popular, so we would actually go to people's homes and sit down with them at the round table. And that's important with Hispanic communities and just families in general. Sometimes doing everything online, it works, but you don't get that touch, right? People don't understand it as well. So for a year straight, we did that. And I'll never forget, the whole time, that year went by, and he called me on a Sunday. He says, "Mike, come up to the house. I got some good news for you." Now remember, he didn't pay me for a year straight.
For free.
Right. So, that year came up, I went to his house, and he says, "Mike, here's a $20,000 check. I've been saving money for you. Every deal you've helped me with, I've been putting some money away."
Wow.
I mean, I was 21 at the time, having a $20,000 check. I was rich. I lived at home with mom. So I said, "Oh my God, I made it. This is great." I got so used to working 2 jobs, I actually told him, no, I'll work construction and work with you. And he says, "No, absolutely not. You got to quit your job. You're going to come work directly for me." And everything else was history. That was 2001. I never looked back. Here I am, 2024.
You had the luck of having someone to guide you through this. And you also had the mentality to work 2 jobs. Like some people might be like, "I'm too tired after the construction work. I don't want to go anywhere." And they're not paying me, like, you know what I'm saying? So what made you think like that? Like, I can do this job, but I want to learn this thing to have a better life. Like,
I think watching him and looking at all his success, when you are learning and you're in your early ages as, a young man or a young woman, you really want to make sure that you surround yourself with people that you want to emulate, people that you want to be like, right? And I surrounded myself with Tony, and I wanted what he had. I wanted a nice house. I wanted a life like that. So I stuck to the plan. And I said to myself, listen, no pay, it's okay. The education is part of it. And, I didn't have means to go to college when I graduated high school. It was either construction or law enforcement. And the law enforcement, was a blessing in disguise that it didn't happen. And I met Tony, and I fell into it.
But you look like an actor, and you look like, I can't say. I mean, do you ever think about becoming an actor or something else other than like selling houses, mortgages, or cop? Like you were.
In theory, yeah. I mean, I would love to be an actor, but I think I'm 45 this year, so I think my acting career. It's never too late, though.
It's never too late.
Never too late.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about, the business of real estate. Is it ever too late to get into that business? Like, do you have an age limit to really get in there, learn what you need to learn, and really make something out of yourself?
No. So the one thing about real estate is that you don't have an age limit. You can get into real estate at the age of 18. You can get to real estate at the age of 60. And there's no income limit, Chucky. I honestly believe that anything you do in life, if you love it and you have, I'm going to use a word that I live by, passion. If you have passion for it, you're gonna do it. It doesn't matter what age you get into.
That's true.
Yeah, unless it's something like law enforcement or a firefighter. Obviously, you can't become a firefighter at the age of 60.
Right,
but,
yeah. No,
but with real estate, and even my end of it, remember, I do mortgages, right? Mortgages and real estate, they run parallel, right? It's kind of the same street. But anything, and at the end of the day, like, okay, so I sell mortgages, you sell real estate. Anything that you're in sales is a passage of enthusiasm, right? So if you're not happy about what you're selling, no one's gonna wanna buy it. So with real estate or mortgages, if you really like what you're doing, and you gotta love people.
Right.
That's one thing about me, obviously we have our good days and our bad days, but I love humans, I love people.
Yeah, and you have this aura, this energy that it feels good to be around you.
Thank you.
I don't know if, sometimes when you're not like that, but it helps.
It does
and it's
help.
natural, right?
And people sense it.
Right.
Yeah.
People, we're talking with Mike Santos. He's the owner and CEO of NEXTGEN Mortgage, and we're in the mix. This is why this is good, because I get to talk to people that have gotten somewhere in life, and we can show people that anything is possible.
That's right.
You came from having a construction job to learning the business of, real estate, and then becoming what we're going to talk about now, because you don't know this guy. Before that, I want to ask you about the bubble, the mortgage bubble or real estate bubble that happened in 2008, was
2008,
it? And I was watching this movie, The Big Short, and we were talking about it before. And I wanted to ask you if that's it's going to happen again.
Is it going to repeat?
Yeah. What was that? Because you came out of that too, right?
I lived through that, Chucky.
Right.
2008 was some dark years. 2008, 2009, 2010. So I'll rewind a little bit.
Right.
When I started in the business in 2001, I was successful right away, thank God. I had a great mentor, and I started buying real estate. So I bought a ton of real estate from 2002 all the way to 2008. When 2008 hit, it redefined the business. And the reason why 2008 happened was because there was people in the business that didn't deserve to be in the business. When I first started doing this, you didn't have to take a test. You didn't have to be fingerprinted. You could have been selling shoes one day and selling government money the next day. That's scary.
Whoa.
Right? No background checks, no credit reports, no nothing. So a lot of people came into the business and they did bad things. They committed fraud, right? I bought all those houses, and in 2008 when the market tanked, I lost all those houses. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part is that there was so much fraud in the business that the banks went out of business. Imagine that. Yeah. The bank themselves that lend the money says, you know what? We're going to stop lending money. What? What do you mean? I have people that want to buy houses. Not for a long time. And it was like a frozen market. The banks, like Lehman Brothers was one of the first ones that went out of business. That was a 100-year-old banking firm that went out of business because of what happened. And the reason why those loans went bad, and the reason why 2008 happened, was because of easy financing. What does that mean?
Easy finance.
Easy financing. Hey, you have no credit?
No.
It's okay.
Okay.
You have no money?
Okay.
It's okay.
Can I get a house?
You don't have a social security number either?
No.
We're gonna find you one.
Really?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
And people were buying homes that didn't deserve. And they didn't have any, what we call skin in the game. They didn't have any collateral, right? They didn't put a down payment. They didn't need good credit. So think about it. When the market started going down, those people that bought those houses with no credit, no income, no down payment, they said, you know what? You keep it. So all these houses went belly up, they call it, right? People stopped paying their mortgage. And listen, there's always going to be people that don't pay their mortgage because you lost your job. There was something drastic that happened in your family, but not all at the same time. Back then, it happened at the same time.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was millions of people not paying their mortgage. The banks couldn't handle it, and they started falling apart. And that's why the Dodd-Frank Act came out. The Dodd-Frank Act was a federal law that came out that said, wait a minute, who's to blame for? Is it Wall Street greed? Which in my personal opinion, it was Wall Street greed. It was banks seeing a lot of money in the real estate and mortgage business, says, we want some. Let's make it easy for people to buy.
Get that money.
How easy? Very easy. Now, I'm a salesperson. If you give me a product to sell, what am I supposed to do? Sell it. Right. So they blamed us, the mortgage reps, right? They blamed realtors. And they came out with a law that now, and I think it's a good law, if you want to do what I do, you have to take a test, You have to pass a test. You have to be fingerprinted. You can't have any felonies, and you have to have
like a lawyer.
Lawyer's a lot more schooling, right?
Right.
But yes, you have to pass a certain test, and you have to, reach a certain standard to get your license.
Now, do you think that this bubble can happen again? Because I was reading something the other day that it could happen again in the next 4 to 5 years. Is that true or?
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, right? I'm not going to try to act like I know everything, because I don't. But in my professional opinion of living through 2008 and being in the business for almost a quarter of a century, 25 years, I don't think it's going to happen for a couple simple facts. People that own homes right now, they're real people. They put down a real down payment. They have credit. They put their life savings into these properties. They're not going to easily let them go. Not only that, I don't think that the demand for real estate is going to go down. Yeah. Think about it. Ever since COVID, the one thing people want is their own space.
Right.
Right? And I think that owning a home in this country has so many tax benefits, right? I think it's lack of education that people don't know these things.
Right.
And I love to teach this stuff.
Well, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to, for the people that are listening and watching, about things that we don't know about when you're getting into your first house, or things that you might know that been in the business for many years, that you can tell us about getting our first house, or things that we might not know that might help us to get into a house.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips on that for the people watching?
I would say the number one tip is definitely sitting down with a mortgage professional to find out where you are presently. Even if you want to buy a house in a year or two, don't wait a year or two. Start now.
Right.
Because you might think everything is okay, but then you speak to a professional like myself, and I might say, hey, this is going to get you a better program. This is going to get you a better rate. Let's do this.
And you start organizing everything.
All their documents and stuff like that. It's called, we forecast it, right?
Okay.
I would say that's the number one. That's number one, is sit down with a mortgage professional now, no matter how far out you want to buy. The second thing that's very important, start with a multifamily. Don't buy a one family first.
So you can rent out the other spot, like the other side of the house, so you could live in one and then rent.
There's a formula that I did myself in my early 20s, where I started with a 3-family, then a 2-family, then a 1-family. And they were all done with minimum down payment. And they were all legit, because you have to obey by the guidelines.
Right.
But I would say go see a mortgage professional, get your credit checked, have someone look at your tax returns, get on a savings plan, and then go from there. But definitely when you are ready and you get pre-approved, start with a multifamily.
Okay, now you know. I've heard a lot about you and how you have influenced the real estate business in Elizabeth, New Jersey. What does the city, Elizabeth, New Jersey, means to you and your journey in all of this that we're talking about? That's
a great question. So I grew up in Elizabeth, right? I went to Hamilton Middle School. I went to Abraham Lincoln School 14. And, the history with me in Elizabeth is, I was bullied when I was younger, right? And I'm a little embarrassed to say.
You didn't look like this.
I was gordito.
¿Qué te decían? What was the bullying?
Well, I got bullied, I guess. I don't know why I was bullied, and I don't hold it against them. And it's funny because I still remember the kid's name, right?
Ooh,
he probably doesn't remember me. I won't say it. No.
You would never forget, for sure.
So, I was bullied, and I got to tell you, kids now have it a lot easier than when we had it, because there was no cameras back then, So I got bullied in Elizabeth, and why it's special to me is the same streets that I walked to school to back then, and I got beat up and all that, are the streets now that I own real estate in.
Wow.
And Elizabeth made me, even though those were bad memories, I don't think I'd be the man who I am today if I didn't go through that trauma, right? That taught me a lot,
Sure.
It taught me that I never want to be a bully. I'll tell you that. I never want to do that to somebody, right? And it just taught me to be tough. And if you get knocked down, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. And it's really cool that now I'm so heavily involved with Elizabeth, and I support all the council people and everything that's going on in Elizabeth. It just came such a long way, and I love where it is today. And it's such an urban, and it has all this culture. Like, I love Elizabeth, and I just feel so blessed that I own property in Elizabeth. So that's like it's funny, every time I drive through the streets of Elizabeth, I'm always like, I walked to school over there. Now I own a home over there.
These were the bullied.
Yeah, and then, fast forward, a lot of my mortgages that I do, a lot of the families that I help are in Elizabeth.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Hey, I'm here, and every time I walk around, there's an energy in the city that
There
is it's unique.
Yeah.
So, what was the moment that you felt most satisfaction? You were telling me about doing something for your mother after you guys have single mother.
Yeah.
What was it that happened that made you feel so good after many years?
So growing up with a single mom, there was a lot of struggles there, right? And not to say that growing up with two parents, there's not struggles. There absolutely is, right?
Yeah.
This is just my story, right? Just my story. I grew up with a single mom. We lived above a bar, and it was tough growing up like that. And the first house I purchased, I was 23 years old, and I purchased it with my mom. We lived there, and then we sold it. We made profit. We bought another house. That second house that we bought, we were partners in it. Mm-hmm. And we lived there for many, many years. I moved out. My mom still lived there. Up to about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, she still owned that home. Now, it's been a long time, right? 20 years.
Yeah.
So obviously there was a lot of equity there, right? We made all the payments on time and everything like that. And my mom's getting a little older. So she says, Mike, I want to move down the shore. I want to move to South Jersey. So the whole time, Chucky, she thought that we were going to sell this house and we were going to divide the profit, 50-50.
Right.
The day of the closing, I said, no, Mom, that profit's yours. Wow. Even though we were partners this whole time, you keep the money and you buy that house in cash down the shore. Wow. So that was really special to me, because if you rewind 25 years ago, I would never think I'd be able to do that financially. And to be at a place to do that financially and hand my mother all that money, wow, so she can be mortgage free and she can retire at ease, right? Because she doesn't really work anymore.
Yes.
That made me really happy. That was
wow,
that was a lot of fulfillment with me.
Just seeing her face.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That's
she has to cook dinner for me though a lot.
What does she make?
I'm Portuguese, so I like the Portuguese food. I like the meat and potatoes.
What's the thing that she makes for you that she mothers make a dish?
Picadinho.
Picadinho.
That's one of my favorite Portuguese dishes.
Hey.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. I'll try that today.
Yep. Yeah. So that was something that it really did. It pulled a chord on my heart to do that, because the look on my mom's face, she was not ready for it. Obviously, wow, she thought I was playing around.
You must be proud.
Yeah. My mom, we went through a lot in the beginning. So single mom. Listen, no matter if it's a single mom, single father, or two parents, families have struggles.
Right.
So for a son to step back later on in life and say, here, feels good.
What's happening now? Where is NEXTGEN Mortgage in the present, and where is it going in the future? Because I know that your passion shows, and I know that you probably are doing things now, but you have plans for the future. What's happening in that head?
So NEXTGEN Mortgage, it's going every day. I sleep okay because my mind is always going. I would like to sleep a little bit better, but anyway.
Right.
NEXTGEN Mortgage, I started this journey in August of 2023. And I was very, very comfortable, Chucky. I had a great job at a different bank. I had a nice office with a nice, healthy salary. But I'm 45, and I said, there's no way I'm going to retire like this. I'm not a guy that likes to be comfortable. So I was like, it's time to get out of my comfort zone. If I'm not going to do it now, when am I going to do it?
Right.
So I started planning it with two partners of mine, Marty and Luisa. And we said to ourselves, we're going to open up this company with the vision of helping the community and basically educating people that do not think home ownership is possible. So that's our main goal, is being boots on the ground in inner communities that sometimes those families, let's face it, they can't go to a regular bank. They can't go to a traditional bank. They can come to us. Another reason why I went to this side of the tracks is because being a mortgage broker versus a mortgage banker, in my professional opinion, it's the most transparent way of doing business with the client. You get the cheapest rate and you get the less fees.
Wait, I was watching a video on your Instagram that you were explaining the difference between that.
Banker and broker.
Yeah, I want you to explain it to the people, like if they never heard this before, because it's a very important, some information that is very important for anybody to know that wants to get into a house. So, what's the difference?
So banker versus broker. Yes. When you go to a bank, you're stuck at that bank. We all know that, right? You're stuck at that bank. You're stuck with those underwriters, those processors, those rates, those fees, those programs. It's a bank. They're not allowed to take your deal and go somewhere else. With a broker, picture like a mortgage advocator, right? So we advocate for the client. We package your deal up and we look for the best deal for you. Right. And we shop around for the cheapest rate and the less fees. So we advocate for you. It's in our best interest to get you the best deal.
An extra help.
The beauty is the bank pays us, not the consumer. Yes, we make less as brokers, but the product is better. And I believe in that. I feel like if the product is better, I might make less, but I'll get more clients believing in our mission. And our mission is to basically help the community and help people that think that homeownership is not realistic.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that right now. Like they want to own a house, but they don't see the path to, and they can't find somebody to be transparent and help them. They always feel that somebody's going to take advantage of them, which happens a lot. So having somebody that is trusted and somebody to go to, or somebody to email that you can trust, that's a plus.
Absolutely.
So knowing that, I want people to find what's your Instagram or your email, your website. I want people to ask you questions. I want,
absolutely.
Because, I prefer to recommend you that I know that you're not gonna mess with people that are trying to get something. Because you've been through it, you know?
And listen, buying real estate is one of the biggest investments you're ever gonna make. It's not like buying a car where you give it back in 3 years. It's a 30-year commitment. So definitely come find me. My Instagram at Mike Mortgage, at Mike Mortgage.
Right.
Our website, which we absolutely love, is www.nextgenloans.ai. Right? And then you can always, I'm big on my phone, believe it or not. I mean, you can always call me, right? That's always a great way to get in touch with me, 908-296-6608. But yeah, I mean, I always tell people, it costs them nothing to call me.
Yes.
And find
Give the number again. Write it down. Get a pen. Please get a pen.
908-296-6608 or our website, NEXTGEN Loans, NEXGEN Loans, LOANS.ai.
You're not going to read, yes.
And my Instagram at Mike Mortgage.
Right.
You DM me, I get back to you right away.
And there's a lot of videos of information that you could, watch, as I did.
Absolutely.
Now, my producer is sending me some questions. We have a segment here called Mixed Questions because we're in the mix, right?
We're in the mix.
So there's a couple of mixed questions that I have here for you to answer. They're like fast and quick, short answers. If you were able to relive a day in your life, like live it again, what day would it be in your life, your whole life? Like
my whole life.
I can do this day again. What would it be? Which one and why?
If I could relive a day in my life, what day would I do again?
Yes.
I would probably say, that's a great question. I don't know, Chucky. I would probably say, I guess the day that I would relive I don't know if I would do anything different, but I'd love to relive the day that, my kids were born, right? That's a good day to relive.
It's a happy
That's
day.
an exciting time, right? The day I got married, right? That's an exciting time.
Nice.
The day I handed over my mom that house. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if I would do anything different. I really don't.
Okay.
I think I do things in a methodical way, Chucky. So I really don't have any regrets.
That's good. That's good answer. Good answer. I would. Another question here. This is mixed questions. It's a little segment that we have. So,
sure.
¿Qué te falta por hacer en tus planes futuros? What do you want to do in your future plans? Like, what you haven't done?
What I haven't done.
Yeah, alguien no escribió en Spanish, pero estoy traduciendo, English.
Sure.
Very good looking,
Yeah.
What it is.
One thing I definitely want to do in my future plans is own more real estate. Mm-hmm. And I want to help people that are with me now, that are loyal to me, that are partnerships with me. I want to help them acquire more real estate because it's the one way that I got out of certain situations. So I would like to educate more moving forward. I'd like to educate more on home ownership and just help more people get into homes.
Thank you. People, we're talking to Mike Santos, owner and CEO of NEXTGEN Mortgages. And I'm learning so much. I'm about to be ready to get into a house right now.
He's going to apply for a mortgage tomorrow.
Dude, call this guy. You have all the information. What was your biggest inspiration coming up? Like, you do all of these things that you've mentioned. who or what was your inspiration other than your mother? Because now we know.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody that you look up to, like somebody that inspired you to be who you are today?
Yeah, my mentor, the person who got me into this business, Tony. I definitely was inspired by him at a very early age. Like I told you in the beginning, I didn't even know what he really did, mortgages, but I was inspired by his dedication. I was inspired by his success, and I was inspired about his mannerisms and how he was a family man, and that inspired me.
That's crazy. Oh, great. Anything else that you want to tell the people that are watching about everything that we have spoken, and about coming to Elizabeth too? Because I've been here and I feel a good energy.
I mean, let's talk real quick and let's end it with Elizabeth. Elizabeth is just on the forefront of culture and just metropolitan city life. Right. I mean, you have restaurants, you have clubs, you have a downtown, you have all this culture, and we have a waterfront.
Yes.
And I mean, if you guys haven't been to Elizabeth, you guys should definitely come check it out. The cuisine, it's like every cuisine that you can imagine. It's phenomenal.
It feels unique. Everything, it feels unique.
Yeah, and you're a hop and skip away from New York City. You're a hop and skip away from a lot of different areas. And I just think Elizabeth overall has a lot to offer, not just for visiting, for living here too. You know, there's sections in Elizabeth where you can walk out of your house and have a club, get your nails done, get a haircut, and get a bite to eat. So I challenge you guys, if you guys don't know Elizabeth, you need to visit. And if you guys know Elizabeth, visit Elizabeth more. This is where I own all my real estate. I believe in Elizabeth wholeheartedly. I love it.
Whoa. Mike Santos, NEXTGEN Mortgages. It's been a great conversation. I want to get together with you again. Let's do this again. I've learned so much. And I know people, please send some more comments, some more questions. Hit him up. You're not going to regret it. Mike Santos, everybody.
Thank you.
This is In The Mixx.